It all starts inside a massive palace in the Great Yin Dynasty, where a woman is screaming, demanding someone confess to his crimes of treason against the empress. On the ground is a man bound by chains, kneeling in front of the whole court as the woman slowly approaches him. This bloodied and bruised man on his knees is our main protagonist, who has already spent an eternity in this world and in the end got betrayed by the very people he trusted most. And right before him, this absolute unit of a woman is his adopted daughter, whom he picked up from an orphanage as a child, raised her, and gave everything to help her ascend to the throne of the empress of a whole empire, and also the very same woman who added spirit-sealing poison in his drinks last night to seal off his powers, just so she could execute him for a crime he never committed. In his final moments, Isumo could only ask one question from the woman, why? But instead of answering his question, the woman simply started unsheathing her blade to end him. Seeing the cold steel of the weapon pointed towards his heart, the man could only sigh, recalling how it was him who found this rosary sword for her, but never in a million years thought that same blade would be pointed at him. The empress actually paused for a second hearing those words as she recalled her childhood, how he always took care of her when she was just a weak, helpless child, and always put his own life on the line to keep her safe when she was not strong enough to protect herself. Recalling those times, the woman felt a trace of guilt in her heart, but it still was not enough to change her decision. So she prepared to execute him in front of all these people, but as a final mercy, she assured the man that after he was gone, she was going to bury him in the imperial mausoleum and offer sacrifices to him every year. Listening to those words and how calmly she said them, Sumo wondered when that sweet and innocent little girl turned into this cold-hearted ruler. Before he had a chance to finish that thought, the woman struck, landing the killing blow to end his life. As for the spectators, the sight was so shocking that they were not even able to keep a straight face, and all of them closed their eyes. Sumo, however, in his final moments wondered where it had all gone wrong. But despite everything, he somewhat felt at peace, because now he knew what he needed to do the next time he opened his eyes. Because what that backstabbing Big Melon's B-word did not know was that he was not any ordinary person. He was in possession of the scripture of reincarnation. With that, Sumo opened his eyes once more in a completely different place. Looking around, he saw that he was inside some kind of carriage, which made no sense. But then the memories from his previous life started flooding back into his mind, and he realized what happened to him. Turns out this was not his first rodeo. He originally came from another world into this world of novel after losing his life in an accident, where he was given the role of a villain. So to turn his inevitable fate around, he seized every opportunity meant for the male protagonist of this story, and even took in the heroine, Liu Ruoxiu, cultivating her and treating her as his own daughter, eventually ascending her to the throne of the emperor. Yet despite all his efforts, in the end he was betrayed by that very same woman he gave everything for and was executed in front of the whole court as a traitor. But not this time. This time, Sumo was determined not to repeat the same mistakes from his last life. He was ready to tear fate apart and start over. Just then, he heard a voice calling out to him, asking for his orders. Sumo had no clue what the man was talking about, so he simply asked how long it would take for them to arrive at their destination. According to the man, they were half an hour away from the Slesian orphanage. That had the man thinking if it could be that day, because Slesian orphanage was the very place where he found Ruoxiu as an orphan. So after a brief pause, he turned towards the man, instructing him to keep going, because he still had some unfinished business at that place. Cut to the outside of the rundown orphanage, and inside were a bunch of kids trying out some new clothes that were given to them by the orphanage to look presentable, because today was the day they were going to get taken away by their adopted parents to a new place. And in that very same crowd was another child with crimson red hair, and this child, unlike the rest of the kids who were looking forward to their new lives, was in the middle of deep thought. And here's where things get interesting. Turns out after the death of our hero Liu Ruoxiu, aka the Empress, was also executed, and somehow her consciousness ended up inside her body from many years ago. Cut back to that time after the death of our hero. Inside the magnificent castle our hero built, the backstabbing Empress was sitting on her throne, flanked by two of her ministers who came bearing some urgent news. According to the two men, their palace was being invaded by the coalition forces, and they were not strong enough to stop them anymore. So they asked the woman to temporarily evacuate the palace for her safety. But the woman knew there was no saving her anymore, so she told both men to leave her alone, because she was still waiting for someone to arrive. Just then, the window to the palace was shattered into pieces, and in came a person. Seeing the individual, both men immediately drew their weapons, and by both men, I mean one. I don't know what was going through the second man's head, preparing to defend the Empress with a duster. Before they even had the chance to flinch, the person ended both of them with a flick of their hand. And oh boy, the plot just got a whole lot thicker. Anyway, this silver-haired woman was referring to Ruoxiu as her sister. As for Ruoxiu, seeing her face made the woman furious, because she knew this white-haired assassin all too well. She was known as the Morning Sun, and also the same girl who grew up at that orphanage with her when they were just kids. She reminded Liu Ruoxiu about that time, how Sumo chose her over her, and how she ended up enjoying all the glory and wealth, even becoming a generation-defining empress. While she, on the other hand, had to live on the streets, fighting for scraps just to survive. But in the end, despite all of that, Ruoxiu still lost to her. After she was done speaking, she asked Ruoxiu if she wanted to know the reason for that. Ruoxiu was not in the mood for her games, so she told the woman to get to the point already. Seeing how calm she was being even after everything she had done, the woman leaned in closer to her ear and told her the reason she was in this state was because she lost Sumo. That answer surprised Ruoxiu, so she asked what she meant by that. The White Princess decided to explain things to her before sending her off to the afterlife, and told the woman that the man she killed was the reason she was safe for all those years, because while he was around protecting her, it was impossible for her to step into the Great Yan dynasty. But this damn stubborn bitch, still refusing to admit what she did was wrong, answered that everything she did was for the empire. But before she even had the chance to finish those words, it was all over. The silver-haired girl plunged her blade right in the middle of her chest. Looking up, she heard the woman calling her a fool for being bewitched by power and killing a man who gave up everything for her sake, and told the girl that a person like her does not deserve to be called an empress. In her final moments, the woman admitted that it truly was her fault. Drunk on power, she killed the very man who once saw her as his own daughter, and she had the audacity to wish for another chance so she could fix everything and start over. Even though it was her who destroyed that man's trust, his love, and the care he gave her, yeah, something like that did not deserve forgiveness, and with that, she drew her last breath, and everything went completely black for her. Cut back to the present, and the girl was panicking, recalling all those memories and how wrong she was. Seeing her breathing heavily, another child approached her to see if everything was all right, but this damn kid, still believing she was some big-shot empress, pulled her hand away from the poor child who was just worried about her, telling him to get lost. As for the kid, he did not mind and just told the girl to quickly get ready because the nobles would be coming any time now to take them away. That part surprised the girl, because from her memories she could clearly recall hearing something similar on the day she was taken away from this place by Sumo in her previous life. Recalling that, she got all excited, thinking to herself that she was going to fix everything and do better this time. Just then, she heard a man calling out to all the kids to quickly get ready and gather in the front yard, because the nobles were starting to arrive. Cut to the front yard, where a silver-haired girl was looking at all the kids who were slowly starting to gather in the place. Just then, the same man noticed her standing there, staring blankly at the kids, so he immediately started scolding her, shouting for her to stop embarrassing herself, because no one wanted someone like her, and told her to go to the backyard immediately. The girl apologized, asking the man to please let her watch, promising she was just going to stand there in the corner and would not disturb the nobles while they picked the children. Fast forward, and all the kids were gathered in the place with the man guiding someone to inspect them. That is when both girls' eyes landed on the person. Yep, it was our hero who finally arrived to pick the next empress of this great kingdom. But the moment his eyes landed on the backstabber standing among the crowd, his expression faltered, a trace of sadness passing through his eyes. After all, in his last life he had raised that girl from childhood, only to be double-crossed by her in the end. But in this life, he did not want anything to do with that girl. As for the girl in question herself, she was staring at our hero, thinking to herself how that man only belonged to her and no one else. Just then, our hero heard the man introducing his merchandise, boasting about how all of them were in excellent condition, especially the group standing in the front. According to him, all of these kids had stronger bodies compared to most other orphans, and he assured him that no matter if he wanted to adopt them as slaves or train them as soldiers, these kids would not disappoint. But our hero was too busy lost in his own world while staring at Ruoxiu. Noticing that the man seemed interested in that child, the man immediately saw an opportunity to make good money. So he told him that the red-haired child in the crowd was their best option because her bone density was exceptionally high compared to the other kids. Yeah, our boy was well aware of that child's talents. After all, he was the one who raised her into that big melon version of herself. Meanwhile, the greedy man kept going on and on about how valuable she was and then asked if he would be interested in buying that one. And if so, he warned him that it might cost a little more than the normal kids. Our boy was already annoyed by his constant talking, and him bringing up money only made it worse. So he glared at the man, saying that money was not an issue for him as long as what he was buying was up to standard. Just then, his eyes landed on a particular child sitting all alone in a corner, and for some reason he could feel the presence of a formidable foe from his last life coming from that child, and he wondered if he might be mistaken. So he asked the man about her and why she was separated from the other orphans. The man informed our hero that the child's name was Cowyang, and she was the worst one they had because she was too weak for even the simplest of tasks. And seeing how she was disturbing their customer by just being there, the man shouted for her to get up immediately and leave. Man, look at that poor thing. How can anyone be heartless enough to scold her? As for our boy, the moment he heard the man call her morning sun, he froze, because that was the very nickname given to the silver-haired princess from his past life. And if that was the case, then it meant that in the future this woman was going to surpass even Ruoxiu. On top of that, he wondered how this story would progress if he took her in as his disciple and cultivated her into becoming a powerful empress. Meanwhile, the girl's eyes were full of tears, but she also knew she had no other choice, so she slowly started getting up to her feet. But instead of going to the back, she ran straight to our hero and latched onto him. In the middle of her sobs, she desperately begged our hero to take her away with him, even promising that she would work hard for him for the rest of her life and would even do anything he asked. As for the man beside her, he was pissed seeing the girl act in such a way towards their customer, so he shouted for her to get away from the man. But since she was not listening, he grabbed her by her hair and prepared to drag her to the back to give her a beating for embarrassing him in front of a noble. But to his surprise, he heard our hero telling him to stop and let the child speak. The man was surprised seeing him standing up for this nobody despite her doing something so disrespectful, but he still did as told and tossed the girl to the ground. But Cowyang, still refusing to give up, mustered what little strength she had in her weak body and slowly forced herself back to her feet. And just like before, she approached Sumo and begged him to choose her. Seeing the girl's determination, as Sumo asked if that was truly what she wanted, to leave this place with him, the trembling child answered by silently nodding her head. Our hero knelt in front of the girl and gently comforted her, asking if she would be willing to do anything he asked of her if he agreed to her request. The girl answered yes, as long as he chose her, she was going to do everything for her young master. To that answer, our hero smiled and made up his decision to put his trust in this girl this time and give her everything he once gave to that backstabber. As for the backstabber in question, yeah, she was wide-eyed, staring at everything in disbelief as our hero chose the very girl who ended her in her past life over her. And nothing made sense to her anymore, because this was not how things were supposed to be. It was she who walked out of that door behind that man and not Cowyang. Even the fool beside her was shocked, because instead of going for the redhead he had picked out for him, he chose a lowly girl who was not worth anything. But still not losing hope, he asked the man if he was only looking for one child, because they still had more options. Our boy, though, did not even bother paying attention to his words and kept walking towards the door. Seeing this, the man raised his voice, telling him to stop. To that, our hero asked the reason. Turning around, he heard the man asking him to reconsider, because this child was far superior to the one he chose and even possessed some extraordinary abilities. Annoyed by him constantly pressuring him, our hero shot him a glare and asked if he was trying to dictate what he should be doing. That alone was enough to make the man shiver in his pants, so he quickly bowed, apologizing for stepping out of line. But then he saw the redhead bolting past him while calling out to our hero and grabbing him by the sleeve of his kimono. She begged him to take her with him instead. This sudden action shocked the man because they had already offended this man one too many times, and now even this girl was doing the same thing. Cowyang herself was scared seeing her acting in this way, and she was afraid our hero might actually change his mind and choose her instead. Before our hero could say anything, the man was already pulling the girl off of him. But then in the middle of all that, our hero actually turned around and took the girl by her arm. Seeing him do that, Ruoxu saw hope. After all, she knew this man all too well. He might be hard on the outside, but he was a complete softie on the inside, and would never turn away someone who begged him like that. Yeah, no. After what this ungrateful twat had done to him, he had no mercy left for her anymore, only rage. So he pushed the girl off of him without the slightest hesitation. This shocked the girl, because this was the first time in her life she saw this man acting in such a way, and she did not know what she was supposed to do anymore. As for our hero, he did not even bother giving her another look, just turned around and started heading out of the place with Cowyang. As for the man, not sure what possessed him, but his tone completely shifted towards our hero, watching him choose Cowyang. So he told him to stop, after which he told our hero that if he wanted to take that girl, he would need to pay first, and the amount was off the charts, 2,000 low-grade spirit stones. This somewhat surprised our hero, but for some reason he knew this was how things were going to end anyway, so he refused to pay the man anything. Surprised, the man asked what he meant by that. Without sugarcoating the answer, our hero asked the man what he would do if he refused to pay. Hearing his answer, the man gave the signal and two cheap ninjas appeared out of thin air with blades in hand, who were going straight for our hero's head. Seeing the boldness of this man targeting a noble like him, our hero just smirked and gave his own signal. Next panel, and both ninjas got skewered by our hero's carriage driver, who made quick work of the two fools, after which he casually tossed their limp bodies towards the man's feet. Seeing that it was all over for him, he shouted for more guards to take out this man, because if he got out of this place with his life, all of them would be executed. And using the chance, he bolted from the place to report what happened here to others. Seeing this, our hero signaled to Mr. Wang to take care of the goons. The man moved like a flash, appearing behind the ninjas and shocking all of them. And before they even got a chance to turn around, Mr. Wang had already finished the job. With that, the only one left was the fool himself, who was begging our hero to spare his life. He even promised to give him everything he had, only if he let him live. But in reality, he was just buying himself time, because turns out there was more to Cowyang than this man was letting on. And that was the reason he never sold her to anyone, because they wanted to keep her for themselves. And now that things had gotten to this point, he was willing to risk his own life to take this girl back with force. As for scared little Cowyang, seeing the man coming, she closed her eyes. Yeah, like our hero was going to let that happen, because before the man even had the chance to blink, his arm was severed from his body, but our boy was not done there. This person not only disrespected him, he even had the nerve to try and execute him in broad daylight, and for that he had the perfect way to punish him. So he called Cowyang's name. The girl with sparkly eyes turned towards our hero, asking the reason. The answer came in the form of a massive sword falling from the sky, as our hero told the girl to take that thing and end that man. Poor Cowyang was stunned, and she did not know what she was supposed to do. So our hero told her to think of all the times this man abused her. Sure enough, he was right. This man literally used to treat her like trash, releasing his frustration on the poor child for no reason whenever he got the chance. He even resorted to beating her whenever he felt like it, and never showed her any mercy. Back in the present, Cowyang was slowly reaching for the hilt of the blade while recalling all those times, and our hero kept telling her to remember all the things this man did, not just to her but also the other kids from this orphanage, even colluding with wealthy nobles to traffic children. Yeah, that was all she needed to hear, so she raised the blade to end this man. As for the pathetic fool before her, instead of begging for mercy, he started screaming at the girl, saying how, if it was not for him, she would have been dead by now. But Cowyang was already too far gone, and she was no longer listening to his words. So the man threatened her, warning that if she went through with this, she would regret it. Before he even completed that sentence, our girl had already struck, and she decided to start with his legs to put him in his place. The man realized this girl was not messing around, so he fell back into his pathetic groveling and started begging her to spare his life. Next panel, another sword slash and the man's screams filled the entire place. But that was just the appetizer because our girl was pissed. So instead of ending him quickly, she started hacking all over his body using the blade with non-stop strikes. And just like that, it was all over, so our hero signaled for her to stop because that man was already gone. With those sparkly puppy eyes, she turned towards our boy, showing respect, asking if she did a good job. The answer was yes, and now that they were finished here, our hero took her hand and started walking out of the place while telling the girl that as long as she followed him, no one would dare bully her. But Mr. Wang was worried about the other children, so he asked our hero what they should do about them. Our hero instructed him to send someone to this place later and give them a sum of money and let them find a way to survive on their own. As for the redhead, she was still desperately shouting for our hero to stop, but since our hero was not listening, she decided to escape this place immediately and find some way to improve her cultivation. Otherwise, she would not be able to survive in this world. Cut to our hero, who was back in his carriage and was asking little Cowyang if she was hungry. The shy girl answered no, but her stomach said otherwise, because it started grumbling right when she said those words. Seeing that she could not hide it, she blushingly told our hero she would not mind eating just a little bit. Yeah, a little. Our hero is a doting father, no way he was going to let her eat just a little, so he tapped his finger on the table, and a whole bunch of tasty treats appeared in front of the girl. Seeing her spacing out, he ordered the girl to start eating, and she complied. But like I said, he is a doting father, so he got worried she might choke, so he asked her to eat a little slower, reminding her that all of it was prepared for her, so it was not going anywhere. But despite him being worried about the child's well-being, the experiences from his recent life had left massive scars on his heart, which was why he was not planning to repeat the same mistakes. So he told the girl that if she wanted to continue following him, she had to let him restrain her body. He explained that once she was restrained, she would not be able to disobey his orders, nor would she be able to harm him in any way, and if she did, her soul would fly into oblivion. But he was not forcing this on the child, and he gave her a choice: either she agreed to let him do this or he set her free and she lived her life as she pleased, and they forgot they even met. But the tiny little girl had already made up her mind about following him, so she reminded our hero what she said back in that orphanage, that she would work hard and always do as he said. So she told him to do whatever he had to because she was not leaving his side. Our hero was pleased hearing her answer, so he placed his hand on her head and told the girl to relax for a bit while he performed the ritual. And within seconds, the ritual was completed and her soul was now bound to him forever. After that was taken care of, he asked the girl to try and punch him. That surprised Cowyang, but our hero assured her she was far too weak to cause him any harm. Hearing that, she prepared to do as he said, but suddenly she felt a sharp pain in her chest the moment the thought of harming him crossed her mind. Our hero explained that this was the effect of the ability he used on her, and warned that if she tried to harm him for real, the consequences would not be as forgiving. Just then, he heard Mr. Wang's voice informing him that they had arrived at the mansion. Getting out of the carriage, he instructed Mr. Wang to arrange a room for her and have someone take her to take a bath. As for him, he was heading out to take care of something. After he was gone, Mr. Wang helped our girl out of the carriage, after which both of them arrived inside the massive mansion, and the sight left the girl speechless, because she had never seen a house this massive with so many servants in her life. Before they knew it, they arrived inside a room which Mr. Wang chose for her, and the girl did not even know what to say after seeing the size of the place, because it was unlike anything she had imagined. Overwhelmed by everything, she sprinted out of the room while thinking to herself how someone like her did not deserve to live in a magnificent place like this. Seeing her acting in such a way, Mr. Wang asked her to stop, and when asked why she ran like that, the girl answered that she felt uncomfortable living in such a magnificent room, because after all she was just a nobody orphan girl, and asked the old man if it might be better for her to sleep in the horse shed instead, or anywhere more fitting for someone like her. Mr. Wang chuckled when he heard what she said and reminded the girl that she had been personally chosen by their master, which meant she was no longer an orphan anymore but a very special person, so they could not let someone like her live in a horse shed. After which he started to leave, telling the girl that a maid would come soon to help her bathe and change clothes. As for him, he was heading out to have their chef prepare something nice for her. Seeing how well their master was treating her, Cowyang did not know what she did to deserve such a kind master, and more importantly, she wondered how she was going to repay him for everything he was doing for her. Cut back to our hero, who was making his way through some kind of market while wondering to himself if he was too late this time. Turns out he was looking for something important related to the novel's storyline, which was something he managed to get his hands on last time to keep himself from ending up a villain. Cut to some other part of the market, and someone was seen haggling over the price of some jade pendant with a shopkeeper. But the greedy man refused to sell the item for anything under 50 spirit stones. So with no other choice, a kid with that goofy-ass haircut offered to pay him 30 spirit stones for the thing, which absolutely made the shopkeeper's day. Because according to him, the item was nowhere near that valuable. Just as he was about to seal the deal, a voice came from the back offering to pay 100 spirit stones for that pendant. This completely shocked the man, so he turned to the source of the sound to see who this crazy person was. Who else but our boy would do something so extravagant? And not even waiting for the man's answer, he tossed a thick-looking gem onto the counter. But this man was opportunistic, so deciding to take a gamble after seeing how desperate our boy was for the thing, he came up with a story that this thing was his family's heirloom. But our hero was not falling for such an obvious lie. So he reminded the man that just moments ago he was willing to sell that family heirloom of his for 50 spirit stones. Yeah, the fool realized this man was not as easy to fool as the kid beside him, so he immediately prepared to sell the thing before our boy changed his mind. The kid, however, was not happy with that, but it was not like our hero cared if he was happy or not. So he immediately snatched the thing from the fat man's hand and prepared to leave, while thinking to himself how he managed to get to this thing in the nick of time. Turns out this goofy-haired kid is actually the protagonist of this story. He was originally an orphan who was born with a rare spirit-seeking physique, and using that power, he managed to find this pendant, which allowed him to embark on the path of cultivating immortality. Basically, this pendant was the very thing keeping this guy in check and our boy's head on his shoulders, because if this thing fell into his hand, it would be the end of our hero. After he was gone, the kid fell to the ground, thinking to himself how the aura contained in that jade pendant was something he had never seen before, and for that, he intended to make our hero pay one day for the opportunity he stole from him. Just then, he saw a bright flash of light shooting toward the sky, which he initially recognized as the birth of a spiritual creature. But upon looking closer, he realized this was something else entirely, so he immediately prepared to head toward the source to check what was the cause of that light. Cut to our hero, who was in the middle of something and was using his powers on the pendant to reveal whatever secret the thing held inside. Just as he was done with his mumbo-jumbo on the thing, two lights appeared from within the item, one of which took the form of a scroll, and second, some kind of golden disc. Our hero stored both items inside his kimono. Turns out these things were called the Cloud Spirit Book and the Cloud Spirit Key, which one can use if they manage to find and enter the realm of Cloud Spirit that would lead them to the realm of heaven. It was a place that was left by ancient immortals and is said to contain countless opportunities and treasures left by the ancients themselves. And according to the stories, this disc was the key to the secret world of the Cloud Spirit. And in this life, our hero was planning on using this key himself instead of relying on anyone else. Fast forward, and he arrived back in his mansion, where he was greeted by Mr. Wang. Seeing the man, our hero instructed the man to set up the dinner table while he fetches the girl so they could eat together. And damn, look at him leave, this guy has one cool butler. Back to the story, our hero had no clue where her room was, so he was wandering around the place until he heard her voice from one of the rooms. So he approached the place where he was greeted by the maids. He told them he was here for the child and asked where she was. The child in question was busy at the moment because two maids were in the middle of scrubbing the dirt out of her hair. She did not feel comfortable being pampered like this, since she was not used to such treatment, so she asked the maids to leave because she wanted to take a bath in peace. After they were gone, she slipped back into her cute self, thinking to herself how fortunate she was because this was the first time in her life she ever had such a nice, refreshing bath. But suddenly, she heard a voice calling out to her from outside the room and snapped back to reality. The girl immediately turned around, desperately searching for some clothes, but by then our hero had already opened the door and stepped into the room. Seeing him standing there, the girl dove into the bathtub, completely embarrassed by the whole situation. As for our hero, yeah, this was definitely not his finest moment. So he quickly turned around and stepped out of the room while apologizing to the girl. With that, the girl quickly came out of the tub and the maids started dressing her up in new clothes. Damn, they did a good job. I mean, look at that cute thing they did with her hair. That looks so cute. Even our boy could not help but compliment how good she was looking in that new outfit, and the blushing girl just smiled back while thanking our hero. Quickly changing topics, our hero asked the girl to follow him because he has some important task for her after they were done eating. Arriving outside that part of the mansion, they were once more greeted by a beautiful servant girl who told our hero that the food was ready. So he opened the door and what do you know, even more servants waiting for him. I mean, who even needs so many servants? This is just overkill. But our beautiful Cowyang had her sights locked on what was behind the servants, a whole banquet just waiting to be devoured by her. And to make it better, our hero told the drooling girl that everything she sees on that table was made just for her and asked her to start eating. This time, she did not even hesitate, took a steamed bun in one hand and a chicken leg in the other, and started destroying everything that came in her line of sight. Even the servants were shocked seeing this tiny little thing eating through everything at such speed. But our girl was not done. She literally picked up a whole bowl of soup and chugged the whole thing down her throat in one go. You know what? I am starting to understand how she ended up so healthy in her past life. With an appetite like that, it is no surprise she grew up with such strong, firm, and impossibly gorgeous assets. By the time she was done, there was nothing left on that table, and the embarrassed girl was trying to defend herself, saying she does not know what happened back there because she usually does not eat that much. But our hero knew that was bull. After all, he had seen her future self firsthand, and he knew how many calories one would need to maintain that kind of physique. So he told his servant to instruct the cook to prepare 3 meals a day for her from now on. After that was taken care of, he got ready to leave, telling the girl to follow him because it was time to get to work. After some time, they arrived in some other room, where our hero brought out the scroll he got from that pendant and handed it to the girl, telling her this was for her. Our girl had no clue what that thing was, but our hero was in no mood to explain everything to her. So he just told her to study what was written inside that scroll and try to practice it on her own, and left the room. Cut back to the market, where the fat shop seller was smashing pendants, wondering if these things could be hiding something valuable inside. Otherwise, why would someone pay so much money for a necklace? But no matter how many pendants he broke, the result was the same. His screaming even caught the attention of a passerby, so he approached the man. Turns out this person was looking for something specific, and when the fat man asked what it was, he reached into his kimono and brought out a scroll with the picture of the same pendant that man sold to our boy not too long ago. Back to our hero, who was in the middle of training little Cowyang in the art of cultivating immortality. And turns out this girl had extraordinary talent when it comes to cultivation, so much so that even our hero was surprised at her potential. But just then, in the middle of all that, Cowyang felt a sharp pain run down her whole body, and to our hero's shock, the kid out of nowhere started coughing up blood. This surprised our hero, so he quickly took the child in his arms to check what went wrong. Seeing that she was in serious condition, he called for one of his servants, instructing him to call Dr. Zhang immediately. Cut to some other part of the city, and the goofy-haired hero had managed to track the location of that light, and it was coming from one of the abandoned buildings. So he quickly opened the door to see what was inside, and what do you know? It was our hero's future headache in the middle of using her past life's knowledge to good use and increase her cultivation. As for the hero, he was surprised to see the sight, so while backing away, he accidentally stepped on a branch, causing the thing to snap. Seeing this, he realized he messed up. Sure enough, in a blink of an eye, the redhead appeared behind him with a wooden stick in hand, asking who he was. The kid was so terrified that he started talking like a damn parrot, spilling everything, even things that were not relevant to the situation. The girl, however, was more curious about his name, Lin Yi, because she was sure she had heard that name somewhere before. And after thinking for a bit, she remembered a man by that name who visited her in her previous life, claiming he possessed some special ability that allows him to find world treasures and offered to work for her. But back then, Sumo for some reason stepped in and stopped the man, and that was the last she saw of that individual. Back in the present, she was doing some weird cultivation thing to act cool in front of the kid, while wondering if this kid could be that same Sumo from that time, and if so, he could prove valuable for her. So after thinking for a bit, she calmed down and asked the kid if he was willing to travel with her for a while. But the kid, knowing this girl was trouble, decided to slip out of that place before something bad happened to him and apologized to the girl. Cut back to our hero, who was standing beside Dr. Zhang, as the man explained that this girl, despite possessing the Tianli mysterious body, had a very weak constitution. That weakness was also the cause of her constant hunger, because her body needed far more nourishment than normal. After explaining the situation, he handed our hero some medicine to help alleviate the defects in her body. However, he also warned him that in the future, during cultivation practice, she would need to endure immense pain. After which, he got up and prepared to head out, but just before stepping out of that door, he told our hero that there was a chance to cure her condition permanently. When asked how, the man explained that if he could obtain ancient immortal grass, jade mussel, and bone grass, he might be able to completely heal the girl's illness using those materials. After that was taken care of, our hero thanked the old man for his time and bid him farewell. After they were alone, he called out to the girl, saying he knew she was awake. Hearing that, the girl immediately got up, telling our hero not to worry about her, promising she was going to work hard to practice cultivation. But our hero refused to put her through that again, reminding her that her body was far too weak for such a thing, so she would only end up suffering needlessly. But the girl was not listening, so in the end our hero just gave up and told her to get some rest in the meantime, because tomorrow they would be going on a trip together. And before leaving, he brought out a pouch, telling the girl this thing contained pollen that can alleviate some of her pain, and handed the thing to her, telling her to take it whenever she felt discomfort. Fast forward to the night, and Cowyang was giggling while staring at the gift she received from our hero. Not sure what she was thinking, but she is too young to be thinking about men just yet. Snapping back to her senses, she reminded herself she cannot waste any more time. So she sat back up to practice what she had learned from that scroll, and just as she started, she felt that same pain slowly starting to surface. Cut to the next day, and our hero came to fetch the girl so they could head out. But the girl was too busy munching down on all the dishes that were made for her, and was telling our hero she would be done in just a second. Our hero answered, telling her to take her time and eat slowly, otherwise she would end up choking herself. After some time she was done, and she looked absolutely adorable with that little belly of hers hanging out. Meanwhile, our hero, acting all tough as always, told the girl to grab onto him tightly and not let go no matter what. Before she even had the chance to ask what he was talking about, he had already leaped out of the place, with poor Cowyang hanging by his clothes, screaming as tears of terror streamed down her face. Fast forward, and they arrived at the Along Mountains, where our hero revealed he brought her here so they could search for the items they needed to cure her illness. And not even looking at the poor girl behind him, who was completely exhausted from all that flying, he told her to get ready because they didn't have time to waste. But just as they were about to move, Cowyang heard a strange sound from the back and asked our hero if he knew what it was. Well, whatever it was, it had massive teeth and a nasty personality. Yep, a massive saber-toothed tiger, and the thing did not even waste any time. It was hungry, it saw food, and it pounced at both of them. Seeing the thing, Cowyang immediately pushed our hero out of the way to save him from the creature. As for herself, she was not left with enough time to move out herself, and seeing those massive claws flying towards her, she just closed her eyes, accepting her fate. By the time she opened them again, our hero had already taken care of the beast, and the thing was reduced to nothing but bones. After which he tossed the skeleton of the monster to the side, and somehow within seconds, the flesh on the creature's body started to regenerate, and right before her eyes, the thing was back to how it was moments ago. Cowyang was super hyped seeing our hero pull off that move and asked how he did it. Our hero explained that this was the power of his reincarnation scripture. After he was done with that, he spotted some blood amber flowers in the distance, so he used his powers to single out the most valuable one in the patch, after which he instructed Cowyang to get ready to leave, telling her they would be spending the night inside a nearby cave. As for the excited girl, she happily took the tail of the beast and started dragging the creature back with them, planning to turn it into their dinner for the night. A couple of hours later, the thing had already been reduced to a roasted carcass on a spit, thanks to the quick work of Cowyang and her hungry stomach, and like any feral gremlin, she decided to take the first bite of the creature. But before she could sink her teeth into the meat, our hero shouted for her to get on her guard, and the drooling girl immediately dropped a piece of meat from her hand, fearing they were under attack. Looking out of the cave, she noticed some individuals gathering around the area, so she asked our hero if he knew who these people could be. Our boy was not sure himself, but what he could tell from their appearance, these people belonged to another sect. But it was strange for anyone to come to this place because the area was extremely dangerous, especially at night. So it made no sense for people to be gathering on this mountain at this hour. As for Cowyang, turns out she was not as pure-minded as I thought, because she immediately put two and two together and figured these were probably couples who came out here under the moonlight, looking for privacy. After those people were gone, both of them came inside, with our hero telling the girl not to drop her guard, because there was a possibility those people might be after them, so if necessary, they might have to take them out. Cut to another part of the mountain, and Ryoxi was seen hiding behind a tree while also showing concern about the people running around the whole place. But she was not alone. Turns out the goofy-haired one also tagged along with her in the end, and was pointing toward a spot nearby where a battle seemed to have taken place. It was the same spot where our hero had taken care of that massive tiger, which was now resting inside Cowyang's stomach. But Ryoxi was not concerned about the battle part. What puzzled her more was the fact that someone had already taken the blood amber flower, just like some of the other artifacts she was after, and that got her wondering who this person could be. Her thoughts turned to two people who could know the locations of these items. First was someone by the name of Zonkian, and second, our hero. Realizing it was a race against time, she quickly turned around and started running to the location of the alchemy furnace to get that thing before anyone else and start with the elixirs she needed. Linyi, however, was still in the dark because this girl was not telling him anything. So he asked her to wait, but like always, the girl just gave him a glare, telling him to go and find her some treasures, and if he was afraid of doing that, she suggested he stay out of her way and stay here for the night. The guy, however, was worried about her safety, so he tried stopping her, but by then she had already run away from the place. Cut to the next morning, and Cowyang was slowly opening her eyes as rays of sun hit her face. Getting up, she realized she passed out again last night while practicing because of the pain, so she apologized to our hero because he was stuck taking care of her the whole night. Our hero did not mind, instead used his powers to check her cultivation and was impressed seeing that despite all that pain, she managed to reach the 6th level of chi training in just a few days. But he also warned the girl that from here on, the training was going to be even more painful, so he asked Cowyang if she was sure she wanted to continue cultivating immortality with her condition. The answer was yes. After all, she had promised to be useful to him, and she intended to keep that promise. Hearing her answer, our hero prepared to head to their next destination, and just before stepping out of the cave, he handed another vial of medicine to the girl. Cowyang asked what it was. Our hero explained that this thing contained calming pills, so next time when she practiced, she should take some of them, because they would help her reduce some of the pain. Seeing the girl staring at the thing in a daze, he instructed her to follow up quickly, otherwise she was going to get left behind. Cut to some other part of the forest where a massive python was observing something from atop a tree branch. And right underneath it was our duo, slowly making their way to their next destination, with Cowyang asking about this furnace they were looking for and if that thing truly was that good. Our hero answered yes, explaining that the quality of that item was far beyond what other alchemy furnaces can match. But he also warned the girl of the danger because getting to that item would not be so easy, since it was being guarded by a jadehorned snake. Just as he said that, an explosion from not far from their location caught his attention, so he quickly approached the place to see what was going on. And what awaited him there had him surprised, because that same hero of the story was taking on the jadehorned snake for some reason, and it made no sense, because following the plot of the story, that kid should not be anywhere near this area. Meanwhile, back in the fight, the snake managed to land a powerful hit on the kid, sending him flying back towards the ground. Getting up, he looked at the entrance of a cave nearby and wondered what was taking them so long. By then, the snake had already lunged towards him with its massive jaw open to devour him whole. With no other choice, the kid decided to get serious and take out this thing before it was too late. So he quickly picked up his blade and leaped towards the head of the giant serpent. But the creature was smarter than he thought, because it intentionally gave the kid that opening to attack only to swat him back with its tail. And the impact was so strong that he went flying back into the distance while crashing through several trees in the process. But despite getting hit so hard, somehow he was still alive, but the snake was getting ready to change that. And just as it was about to sink its fangs into the hero's body, our hero appeared in the middle to save the kid from the monster. The creature itself was surprised seeing the appearance of another individual in its territory. On top of that, it sensed that this person was far more dangerous than the kid, so it got ready to use its full power to take him on. Witnessing the creature using spiritual power, the hero was terrified, because monsters capable of using spiritual power were extremely rare and dangerous. Next panel. A massive explosion covered a considerable amount of the area, and by the time it was over, the whole place was reduced to dust and smoke, with the creature grinning at its victory. But to its horror, it heard a voice amidst the smoke, asking if this was truly the full extent of its power. Seeing that it was our hero, and he was unscathed, both of them were left speechless. As for our boy, he was done playing games, so he prepared to show the creature what a true monster looks like. Realizing that it was no match for this man, the creature quickly turned around to flee the area. But it did not know that our hero had already stationed little Cowyang just for this possibility. And as soon as she got the signal, she activated her ability, and a massive wall appeared in front of the monster, blocking its path. But her strength was no match for the monster, so it immediately counterattacked by launching its scales towards the wall, and the projectiles shattered the massive thing with ease. As a result, Cowyang, with no way left for her to block, was forced to take the full brunt of that attack. As for the monster, it decided to grab a quick snack before heading out and lunged at the dazed girl. Just as it was inches away from her, a massive hand manifested out of thin air, swatting the thing to the ground and restraining it. This was one of our hero's abilities, and it did more than just restrain enemies. The thing also acted as a bomb, and it exploded, sending chunks of the massive creature all over the place. Just as quickly, it was over and our hero was standing there with the creature's inner core in hand. But he was more worried about his little disciple, so he asked the bruised girl if she was okay. The girl, however, was tearing up about the fact that she was of no use to him and only caused him trouble. But our hero corrected her, saying that if it was not for her, he would have never been able to get such a perfect inner core. He explained to the girl that if she would not have diverted the creature's attention, it would have been so afraid that it would have injected its venom into its inner core, causing its spiritual energy to drop. After he was done with that, he thanked the girl for doing a good job, leaving the girl surprised. Noticing the bruises on her body, he quickly summoned a medicinal paste and started applying the thing on the wounds to disinfect them. And after he was done, he slipped back into his tough, cold-hearted act, telling the girl to get ready, because they still had work to do. But the girl was lost in her own world, because this was the first time in her life someone had actually praised her for something. And let me tell you, she was extremely happy about the feeling she was getting by being praised. As for the fool hero, he was still conscious and getting up. He recognized our hero from the market who stole his pendant, and that had him furious, because he was getting in his way again. Realizing he might get in trouble if he got spotted by this man, he quietly turned around to leave, but our hero was not about to let that happen. So he blocked his path, asking where he was going without even thanking the one who saved his life. The boy, stunned, tried to come up with an excuse, but he was not able to. Seeing him panicking, our hero got straight to the point and asked where his companion was. Hearing that, the kid knew he was screwed, so he quickly came up with a lie, telling our hero all of them left him behind and ran away when that snake showed up. Our boy realized something was fishy here, but instead of pressing him further, he asked about the monks who he saw running around the place last night, and if he had seen any of them in this area. The kid answered yes and pointed to the opposite direction, telling him they went that way. But our hero was not a fool. He knew this kid was trying to stall for time, so he started walking up to the cave. Sure enough, he was stalling, because inside that cave was Royale, who was still looking for that furnace. With that, our hero arrived inside the cave, and after walking for a bit, he noticed the stench of blood in the air coming from a particular direction. Arriving at the place, his eyes widened in disbelief, seeing the sight before him, because that part of the cave was littered with the skeletons of humans. Walking around, he noticed some of the belongings of the people and realized that these were the disciples of the Leyland sect, which made no sense because that was a very small sect with members with extremely low levels of spiritual realm, and that got him wondering why they would come to the territory of this snake. But ignoring that, he started going through the pouches on the ground, and after looking around, he found the item he had been looking for. Just then, he sensed movement nearby, so he quickly stashed the thing inside his ring to check who it was. But even after searching the entire section of the cave, he was not able to find anyone. Just then, he heard Cowyang scream, telling someone to let her go. Realizing the girl was in trouble, he immediately ran out of the place to see what was going on. Little did he know, someone else was watching him from behind one of the rocks, and that someone was not happy with how things turned out for them. On top of that, this girl was pissed seeing our hero doing so much for Cowyang, because according to her delusional ass, those opportunities he was giving that girl belonged to her. The audacity. Even after what she did to that man, she still thinks she deserved everything that man has to offer. Cut back a couple of minutes. After arriving inside the cave, Ryukshu quickly found the item she came here for. But while she was getting ready to leave with the item, she spotted a person entering the cave. She quickly dropped the pouch and ran to hide herself from that individual. Back in the present, remembering about that item, she quickly turned around to see if it still was there. But after looking into all the pouches, she realized that the item had already been taken by our boy. Furious, she got up, cursing her luck, but she knew she did not have time to waste, so she bolted towards the exit of the cave to leave before she got spotted by someone. Cut to the outside, and Cowyang was seen trapped inside some kind of cage made out of energy, and the ones responsible were screaming at the girl, demanding she tell them her identity and what happened to the people who came here before them. But since the girl refused to answer, the bastards started attacking her instead. Trying to buy herself some time, she asked the men why they were doing this because she did not know anything about the ones they were talking about. One of the men pointed out to their leader that they could sense the aura of those people coming from the cave, which meant all of them were already gone. Hearing that, the man turned back toward Cowyang, asking about the person who took out this snake and where he was right now. So basically, he was telling the girl to snitch on her master. Yeah, good luck with that, buddy. Furious, the man grabbed her by her neck and lifted her up in the air, demanding she tell them everything she knew. Otherwise, he threatened to end her, but then he took a closer look at her face and changed his mind. This bastard did not even consider the fact that the girl was just a child. He casually called her cute and said if she did not tell him about that man and where he was hiding, there would be consequences. Just as he said those words, a blade appeared out of nowhere, striking the man on the arm he was holding Cowyang with. Next panel, and the fool was screaming like a banshee, staring in horror at his arm as blood sprayed everywhere like a broken fountain. As for Cowyang, she dropped to the ground, hitting her head in the process. But something like that was not enough to keep her down, so she quickly got back up to stand her ground against the men. As for the men, all of them turned to the one responsible for doing that, to their leader, and saw our hero calmly walking towards Cowyang. Reaching the cage, he used his powers to free the girl, and with almost no effort, he broke the spell. Cowyang, however, was ashamed that she failed him yet once more and caused trouble for him. By then, the fools had already charged towards both of them in those weird-ass poses. Seeing them coming, our hero decided to give Cowyang another chance to correct her mistake, and brought out some talismans, telling the girl he was going to lead these men to her. Hearing that, the girl got ready to beat the ever-living daylight out of them, but our hero knew she was far too weak to take on so many cultivators just yet, so he tossed those talismans towards those men. And these things were no ordinary talismans. These things had the ability to seal off the spiritual power of a cultivator, and before the men knew it, they had lost all of their power. As for Cowyang, oh boy, the girl was looking forward to what was about to come for the bastards who bullied her moments ago. But our hero instructed her to leave one of them alive for questioning, and she had no objections to that as long as she could let loose on the rest of them. With that, she leaped into the air with her spear in hand, doing that helicopter move. Next panel, bam! Heads were seen rolling all over the place. I know this is a dangerous world and all, but I'm starting to think our Chad might be a bad influence on this girl. I mean, look at the expression she is making while slaughtering enemies. Back to the story, she did as her master instructed and left one of the men alive, and it happened to be the same one who complimented her for her beauty just moments ago. Though she still had not had her fill of fun. She promised our hero she would keep him alive, but she never promised she would be gentle with the bastard. Next chapter, and she was seen dragging the man back to our hero for questioning. And like he was a sack of trash, she tossed him right at our boy's feet. Oh man, what did this girl do to this man? The poor guy is completely knocked out after the beating he took from the girl's hands. Like I said earlier, our boy might be a bad influence on her, because she even robbed all the men she just took out. Or maybe it is just her, because our hero did not show any interest in those bags of coins and told the girl she could keep them for herself. Turning his attention back to the man, our boy prepared to end this quickly so they could head out for their next destination, and threw some kind of magical energy towards the man. Just as the thing connected, the man jolted up, panicking, asking where he was. Our hero, though, just told him two things. He asked questions and the man answers, and the first question was what's his name. Seeing his face, the panicking man remembered what happened and asked who our boy was and why he was taking out his fellow disciples. Apparently, that was not the answer to our hero's question, so he turned towards Cowyang, signaling her to make this man talk. Cowyang was looking forward to this, so she summoned her spear, and this time she was planning on chopping off something precious to this man, hoping that might be enough to make this pig squeal. Apparently, just her glare was enough for the man to start spilling everything, as he told our hero that his name was Yuzi and he was a disciple of the true transmission of the Thunder Mist sect. Our hero asked about his sect and what they were doing in this Jade Dragon Mountain. The man answered they were searching for the legendary Cloud Spirit Realm. That shocked our hero so much that he grabbed the man by his collar, demanding he tell him who gave them the information about the Cloud Spirit Realm. Terrified, the man told our hero they received this information from an elder of the Green Vine sect. And when our hero asked how that elder came to know about that thing, the man did not have an answer. Annoyed, our hero tossed the fool to the side. But the man knew what was going to come next, so he quickly got up and begged our hero to spare his life. Yeah, like that was going to happen. He laid his hands on his precious disciple, so there was no way he was walking out of this place with his life. Although he did thank the man for providing him with this valuable information before reducing his body into ashes. As for Cowyang, the girl is starting to scare me a little now. She is not even flinching, watching a man getting torched to death right before her eyes. Seeing her glaring at the man, our hero tapped her shoulder, telling her they needed to head out now, after which both master and disciple prepared to head to their next destination. Little did they know, this whole scene was being monitored by someone from the shadows, and after they were gone, a hand appeared atop one of the trees, releasing someone from their grip. And that someone was the foolish hero who hid like a coward when those men appeared and took our Cowyang hostage. But he was not alone. Royalty was also with him, who was asking him about this Cloud Spirit Realm our hero was talking about. And since the kid did not know about that, she grew increasingly frustrated and punched the rock near her, creating a crater on the thing. This even scared the hero. But the girl had had enough of constantly losing to our hero, so she shouted for the kid to get off his butt immediately, because they were leaving. And her plan was to follow our hero for now and see what he does, hoping she might find something about this so-called Cloud Spirit Realm that way. Fast forward, and it was already nighttime with our hero using his powers on the furnace to create the pills he needed for Cowyang. And after he was done, he decided to leave the thing for now and wait for the elixir to condense. Just then, he noticed someone approaching him from the side, and when he turned to see who it was, he saw Cowyang walking back with 2 rabbits in hand, which she caught for the 2 of them. While preparing the things, she told our hero about the cultivators she saw out there while she was hunting for these things and asked if he knew what the reason could be. But instead, she noticed that our hero was awfully quiet for some reason, so she asked if everything was alright. Our hero answered it was nothing, he was just thinking about something. To that, Cowyang answered she managed to gather some information while she was out there that might be useful to them. According to what she had heard, disciples from all 3 sects were approaching the secret realm. Not just that, even the sect leaders of all those sects are said to arrive in the Jade Dragon Mountain soon, so she suspected something big was coming. That surprised our hero, and he could not help but wonder what could be so important that even all those leaders themselves were getting involved in this. Cowyang explained that from what she managed to gather so far, an elder from the Green Vine sect was searching for some special jade pendant. However, by the time he got to the place, the pendant was already taken by someone else. So after he returned with that information, various sects began to take action. After listening to everything, our hero started piecing all the puzzles together and realized that by personally going to that place and taking the opportunity that originally belonged to the forestry sect, he had unknowingly caused a chain reaction. That single move drew attention to the Cloud Spirit Realm, which eventually caught the eye of an elder from the Green Vine sect. As he was doing all the thinking, the greedy one behind him was busy devouring the rabbit, while staring at him as he muttered all that stuff to himself. But then, while burning through his brain cells, he suddenly heard his stomach grumbling. Hearing the sound, the cheeky little gremlin shoved a piece of meat into our hero's mouth, telling him to eat before he starved to death. Just then, his attention was drawn by the furnace making that strange sound, so he turned to check on it and was pleased to see that the process was a success. So he wasted no time and lifted the lid to check the result, and he was not disappointed. Thanks to that furnace, the pills that came out were of extremely high grade, so he quickly stashed the things into his pouch. As for the last remaining one, he tossed it towards Cowyang as a reward for helping him all this time. The girl was speechless seeing the man hand her such a rare and valuable item, something people would kill for as a gift. Our boy, seeing her make that face, told the girl she deserved that reward. On top of that, he needed his disciple to get stronger so she could further help him in the future. After that was taken care of, he just went to a corner to get some rest, while telling the girl she had 8 days to get stronger. That surprised Cowyang, so she asked what he meant by that. Our boy informed her of the entrance to the secret realm that would be opening on the 8th day from today, and she would be accompanying him to that place as well. Hearing how much her master was counting on her, the girl quickly sat down in a corner and started channeling her spiritual energy to increase her cultivation level. But then, in the middle of that, her stomach suddenly started grumbling. Embarrassed, she looked at our hero, wondering if he heard that. And seeing that he was fast asleep, she ran for the meat on the fire and started devouring the thing to fill her stomach. As for our boy, he just smiled in amusement, seeing how hopelessly gluttonous that girl was. The story fast forwards and it was already the 8th day. And somehow, the three sect leaders with their puny army managed to find the location of the gate before our hero and were preparing to enter through the portal. Just then, the one with the pointy mustache asked the old man if this was really the gate he was talking about, and the man confirmed. Hearing his answer, the second man praised him for doing an excellent job, leading all of them to this place. So the man thanked both of them for the praises, and now, with the gate fully secured by their army, the three men were planning on keeping that thing all to themselves. And thanks to the strength of the three armies combined, they were sure no one would be able to get in their way anymore. As for the treasures that were inside of that realm, according to the three fools, they now belonged to the three sects. Cut back to the cave, and Cowyang was slowly opening her eyes due to the pain that was racking her entire body. Getting up, she wondered how long she had been asleep, because guess what? In these past 8 days, she had been cultivating non-stop without a single break. Because of that, she was wondering if it was already the day the gate was supposed to appear. Looking to the side, she saw our hero, who was still in the middle of meditation. So deciding not to disturb him while he was busy, she quietly started slipping out of the cave to go and find them something to eat. Not even a few steps away from the cave, she noticed some movement in nearby bushes. Before she knew it, a massive black panther appeared from the forest, going straight at the girl. But just as its claws were inches away from ripping through her, the girl disappeared. This surprised the overgrown kitty, so it turned around to see where the girl went. Well, what do you know, these past 8 days paid off. Cowyang was now a monster, and something like this panther was no match for her anymore. And when I say she's a monster, I mean literally, because this crazy girl was planning on turning this panther into her next meal. As for the creature, it did not appreciate being referred to as food, so it quickly turned around to end the girl. But Cowyang was lost in her own world, wondering to herself what a panther might taste like. Next panel, a massive palm appeared between the two, smashing the creature dead on, and it went flying back, crashing into a tree. Well, that was it, the thing was no more. As for the tiny one, she was more than satisfied with the warm-up she got from hunting it down, so she decided to call it a day. Fast forward, and she was munching down on the giant cat, and turns out panther meat tastes delicious. In the middle of her fun, she turned towards our hero and saw he was still in the middle of cultivating. So she walked up to him, wondering how long it would take for him to finish, because at this rate they might miss the opening of the secret realm. But then her thoughts drifted to useless stuff, and she found herself sitting in front of him, thinking how good-looking he is. Girl, you are far too young to be thinking about boys. Just then, she noticed a butterfly landing on our boy's face, so she quickly shooed the thing, telling it not to disturb her master. But in the process, she ended up waking our boy up, and man, not sure how, but she ended up way too close to his face. Embarrassed, she immediately pulled herself back and with a blushing face apologized for disturbing him, while also pointing out that it was not what he thought. But our hero completely ignored the girl because he sensed the presence of that portal appearing in the area. Back with the three leaders, all three of them were using their powers to force open the gate so they could enter, resulting in a massive explosion that shot a bright beam of light towards the sky. Seeing the thing, our hero realized that someone was trying to forcibly open the realm's entrance. But he was not worried, because even if they managed to enter that place, they still did not have the key required to get to the items. With that, he took flight once more to get there before it was too late, with Cowyang dangling behind him. But this time, he noticed that the girl was having trouble hanging on to him because he was going too fast. So with no other choice, he took her in his arms, worried that she might lose her grip, but still acting like a strict father, he told the girl to hold tightly, otherwise she might fall. Seeing him worried about her, Cowyang's face lit up, and she held him tightly while giggling happily to herself. Yeah, that was until our hero told her he was about to go even faster. Before she could say anything, he turned into a streak of light and shot straight toward the gate at Mach 4. Back at the gate, the three masters managed to create a crack on the seal of the gate. Seeing that they were making good progress, the one with the pointy mustache shouted for both men to combine their powers and attack the gate at once. Hearing that, the three men obeyed, and a massive golden dragon appeared in the place, and all of them hurled the creature towards the seal. That attack proved extremely effective because more and more cracks started forming on the gate. By then, our boy had also arrived at the location and saw the whole scene unfold before his eyes. Seeing their numbers, our hero showed concern, wondering if he was too late this time. Hearing him say that, Cowyang herself got worried and asked what they were going to do now. Our hero signaled her to stay calm and not worry, assuring her that once they entered the gate, they would quietly sneak into that place after them. Back on the ground, they were just about ready to destroy the thing completely. And to finish it off, the pointy-bearded guy brought out a talisman and threw it toward the gate. Our hero, who was watching everything in silence, realized what that man just used was a special locking talisman, which was not something just anyone could get their hands on, meaning these people were serious about getting into that place. To that, Cowyang showed concern, saying how they could not let those people enter there first. Otherwise, they might not be able to get what they needed from that place. But our hero was not worried and assured the girl that in order to get to those treasures, they would need a key, which was something only he possessed. Meanwhile, on the ground, the man shouted for his disciples to quickly enter through the portal while they held the gate open. Hearing his order, all of them started running towards the thing. In that very same crowd, there were two people who should not be there, the backstabber and the fool, who also wanted a piece of the action. So the girl shouted for the kid to stop wasting time and run before that thing closed. But while doing so, she noticed something strange and paused. Seeing her staring at the sky, the hero asked if everything was all right, and the girl answered it was nothing and started running towards the portal, telling him to follow her. Back to our boy, who himself noticed something strange, and seeing him make that face, Cowyang asked if there was a problem. Our boy answered it was nothing, but on the inside, he wondered if what he saw just now was some kind of illusion. Back to the three masters, who themselves were preparing to enter the place, with the old man in the back reminding the two how the treasures were to be split evenly between the three sects. But the greedy one behind them clearly had something else in mind, and whatever it was, I am sure it is going to work in our boy's favor. After everyone was gone, our hero landed in front of the gate and noticed that the entrance had closed off once more. But for him, something like this was no problem. But since Cowyang did not know how they were going to enter, our hero decided to show her instead. With that, he brought out the key and used it on the gate, and the thing gradually started to open on its own. After which, he took Cowyang's hand and started walking through the gate. Coming to the other side, Cowyang was amazed seeing how beautiful the place was. But our hero reminded her they did not have time for sightseeing and suggested they head straight for that door. Before Cowyang could properly ask what door he was talking about, he had already leaped off the ground with the screaming kid in hand. And while flying, he informed the girl that this place consists of 9 levels, with each door serving as an entrance to the next level. And luckily for them, he just so happened to know the location of every door on each level. Fast forward, and they were hiding from the other sect disciples who were running around the whole place looking for the gate that would lead them to the next floor. But our hero knew it was going to take them some time to find the first gate, so before going to the next realm, he decided to make a few stops and pick up a few things along the way, so he told Cowyang to keep up. As for the panting girl in the back, he did not even notice that he almost suffocated the poor thing to death. After some time, they were done gathering up what they needed and arrived in a massive plain, and after walking for a bit, our hero asked the girl to come closer, because there was something he wanted to show her. Turns out it was the door they were searching for. Our boy explained that all the doors in the secret realm are hidden in such places, but he noticed that the girl was not even paying attention. And when asked what was going through her head, he heard the girl pointing out why anyone would put a door in such a ghostly place and commented that whoever designed this cloud spirit realm was a weird person. Yeah, but the thing was that weird person was standing right before her and he did not appreciate the comment. And to make it worse, the girl did not stop at weird. She kept going, pointing out how he must be gloomy with far too much time on his hands to be coming up with such stupid ideas. Yeah, that was it. Our hero snapped and flicked the girl's forehead, telling her to stop saying nonsense. After which, she turned around and told the girl to stop wasting time and follow him. Coming to the other side, Cowyang saw a completely different landscape, because for some reason, this part of the realm was a desert, with sand stretching as far as the eye could see. Just then, a powerful gust of wind came rushing in, launching sand into the girl's eyes and almost carrying her away, so our hero quickly grabbed her hand. But he knew this was no ordinary wind, so he immediately took the girl by her arm and leaped back. Sure enough, a massive centipede-like creature appeared from the very spot where they had been standing. But this thing was not our hero's opponent, rather Cowyang's. So he instructed the girl to get ready, because this was her opportunity to grow stronger. By then, the massive creature had already lunged at both of them. But before it had a chance to attack, 2 massive hands appeared, swatting the thing. It was our girl, and she was not done with the creature and immediately prepared to attack it. Cut to the first realm of the place, and Linyu was pointing to a direction, telling Ruoxu he could vaguely feel the presence of a treasure from that location. But since he was not sure, the girl got annoyed and smacked him on the back of his head for wasting her time. But ignoring him, she told the kid to forget about that, since she wanted to get her hands on something much more important, which she was sure was nearby. This surprised the kid, so he asked how she was so sure. To that, the girl did not know how to tell him it was because her master once told her about that item, the very same master she killed with her own hands. And damn, I'm not sure how much time passed in this world, but she has grown a lot. Anyway, remembering him made her extremely irritated because she was sure that while she was wandering around aimlessly in this place, that man was probably out there somewhere enjoying his time around that Cowyang. Tears and all, but I'm still not changing my mind, she deserves this. But Linyu was starting to get concerned about her because she kept acting in such a way and wouldn't tell him what was bothering her. After some time, they arrived at a location where that item was supposed to be, but to her shock, someone had already gotten to it before her. Cut back to Cowyang, who was finally done taking down the massive monster and was exhausted from all the fighting. Just then, our hero tossed some kind of plant into her hands, telling her to eat it. Turns out this was the very same herb Ruoxu was looking for. And this thing was no ordinary plant either, it was an immortal herb. And this was not the only thing our boy bagged while making his way to the gate. There were several other items as well, but he did not have time for all that. So he told the girl to eat that thing quickly, because it was far more useful to her at the moment. Back to the first floor, and Ruoxu was pissed. And in her frustration, she punched a crater on the ground. Looking around, she wondered if it was our hero who took the thing. But it made no sense, because she was sure they were the first ones to come to this place. So how could he beat them to this location? As for Linyu, the kid was circling around the girl, waving his hands and trying to get her attention so he could ask what was going on. Unfortunately for him, he might as well have been a ghost, because the girl did not even bother acknowledging his existence. and then he made the dumbest mistake of his life. He poked the girl's cheek. The girl snapped at him, asking if he had a death wish or something. Before he had a chance to explain himself, she was already on top of him, landing punch after punch on his face while screaming at him to go and find the door leading to the next level. Desperate, the kid screamed for the girl to stop, promising to do as she was saying as long as she let him live. Whoa, what is going on here? Am I sensing a ship about to sail because these two are blushing and hard? Back with Cowyang, the girl was once again taking on another giant monster, and this time it was a massive scorpion with an extremely hard shell covering its whole body. As for our hero, he, like always, was on the sidelines pointing out all the mistakes the girl was making. But Cowyang was too busy trying to dodge all the incoming attacks from the creature, and the thing having multiple weapons was not helping either, because she was not able to keep up with its speed. Realizing that things were getting out of hand, she decided to take a gamble and hit the thing with everything she had to try and finish this fight in one go. Thinking that, she swung her fist towards the pointy stinger of the scorpion, and the attack proved extremely effective, because she easily managed to shatter its tail into pieces. And with its only defense gone, she was able to land a punch right in the middle of the creature's head. Just as she got in range, she shouted something called Cloud Spirit Soul Shatter, and the giant creature got buried into the ground with a massive explosion, rocking the whole area. Turns out her gamble worked. She exhausted all of her spiritual energy in that attack, but managed to take out the monster. But instead of praising the girl, the idiot behind her told the girl that was a reckless move. And of course, that irritated the girl, because instead of saying she did a good job, this man was pointing out something she already knew, and her bleeding hand was not helping her mood either. Well, that's all for today, folks. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave the video a thumbs up, and if you want to know what happens next, hit the subscribe button. Until next time, take care.